Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery out here with a brand new bow we wanted to tell you about. This is a great day. I'm real excited about this bow. This is the brand new PSE Levitate. And what we have is a high performance carbon bow. This is actually a carbon bow that I really like shooting. And John Dudley, this is of course a bow that he had a lot of input in on with PSE. They worked together, and he basically went through and picked out all the little issues that people have had with carbon bows over the years, and he fixed them. And so what I can tell you is this is an incredible shooting bow. I'm going to tell you about that in a second because John Dudley, he kind of issued a special challenge to me on how I set up this bow and what the experience was going to be like. It was pretty eye-opening for me. I couldn't believe it. But before we get into that and talking about this great bow from top to bottom, we're going to give you the specs. Let's check those out. The PSE Carbon Levitate measures 32 1/4 inches axle to axle. It's got a brace height of 6 inches, IBO speed rating of 348 feet per second. It's got a mass weight of 3.6 pounds. Adjustable let off from 80 to 85 to 90%. For draw lengths, we've got a rotating mod that goes from 27 1/2 to 31 1/2 inches. And draw weights is going to be available in peak weights of 60, 70, 80 pounds. All right, so the PSE Levitate, what are we looking at here? Well, let's start at the top here. We've got a brand new cam. This is the E2 cam. Now, PSE has had the wildly popular Evolve cam for the last couple of years. Bow hunters especially really love that cam because of the draw cycle, the let off. You can get up to 90%, so it's a super popular cam. So what PSE did with the E2 cam is they just tweaked it a little bit. They found out they were losing just a little bit of performance, especially as you went down in the draw lengths. There was some drop off in efficiency. So with the E2 cam, they fixed that. And one of the things that they did is they widened the cam right here at the bottom where it goes into the axles. So if you were to look at the E2 versus an Evolve cam, you would notice that this stands a little wider. One of the things that allowed them to do was the yokes here are not angled in so much. And so what they found is when the yokes were angled in, they were losing some efficiency in the draw cycle because the yokes weren't pulling straight down. They were pulling at an angle. So these, you can see the yoke on this side is pretty much perfectly vertical, and this one leans in, but it doesn't lean in as much. So that's one of the things they did, widen that cam at the base there, just to improve the efficiency there. We went to 1/4 inch axles. So that's another robust feature that they added in there. And what John Dudley was telling me is there's a new beefier bearing system in there. So if you've been around bow hunting for a while, you may have had issues with bearings going bad in a cam. PSE got the beefiest bearings that they could find, which hopefully they're hoping that that will eliminate issues with the bearings going bad. So as we mentioned, the Levitate comes with a rotating mod for adjustable draw length. And right at the end on the draw stop there, you can see where this screw is, that there are 3 positions. That's where you're going to adjust the let off. You can see I have it in the outermost position. That is 90%. 2 other positions are 85 and 80%. Now, all of that moving forward, take a look at this limb pocket here. So we know one of the things to increase the shooting performance of a bow, to make it stable, to reduce vibration, just to get the best shooting experience, is to make this limb pocket wide, get these limbs, wide limbs, and get them spread out. That's what everybody's going to these days. But you didn't see that on the carbon bows. They tended to be skinnier. Well, PSE, this is the same width limb pocket and limb stance as they have on last year's aluminum bows. So it's just a great system there with that limb pocket to limb system. Now, perhaps the biggest improvement we have here is this riser. So this riser is 100% carbon, and it is now made from a proprietary style of carbon that PSE is calling dead frequency carbon. It's a new type of carbon that they have come out with. It's all hand laid here in the USA. So you know that that is coming from USA workers. And this dead frequency carbon, I don't know how to explain it other than you just don't feel it in the hand. Carbon doesn't really vibrate like aluminum does, but you almost always feel that thump when you shoot with a carbon riser. You still feel some response in your hand from this, but it's different. It's quieter, it's softer. It's not the same kind of vibration that you feel from carbon bows. So in doing that, they just increased the shooting experience of a carbon bow, you know, by leaps and bounds, by my opinion. That's one of the things that I had issues with carbon was that hand shock. And you heard the specs on the weight, 3.6 pounds bare. So one of the things that bow manufacturers were doing to kind of combat that hand shock in carbon bows was to make them heavy, which that defeats one of the two main purposes of a carbon bow, right? There's two main things you're gonna get a carbon bow for. It's impervious to temperature changes. I mean, I took a carbon bow to the Arctic. It was minus 40 degrees. Nothing changed on it. So super cold weather, you want a carbon bow. And then the other thing is weight. Carbon is super light. Well, if you just add a bunch of weight to it to make it heavier to kill the vibration, you just defeated the purpose of carbon. So at 3.6 pounds, this thing just doesn't have that thump that you're used to with carbon bows. And I'll especially tell you about that in a second here, what Dudley had me do. But back to more features of the bow. Another thing John Dudley wanted to do was he wanted to solidify this cable arm. Normally they're in a dogleg pattern so that you can fine tune that cable arm to affect the side pressure of the cable here, the load on the cables. Well, PSE designed this so that the cables would be in the optimum position, and then Dudley didn't like that dog leg because one of the things that happens with that dog leg is it comes loose. And then if it starts moving back and forth, now you're affecting the bow's performance. So we have a straight cable arm and it is tapped right into the riser there. So this thing is not gonna move. Then you got your roller arm here. It rolls on the rod, and your cables, as they go through it, they roll through rollers as well. This is kind of the standard grip that we're seeing on a lot of bows now. It's narrow. It's got nice edges on the side there. It's just in a good position for hand position, super comfortable grip. So something else you're gonna notice in the grip is this threaded hole right here. And there will be, what I can say is there is something coming out in the future that this will pertain to. For right now, it's just a threaded hole in the grip. So another thing PSE did here was, one of the issues with carbon bows was having bushings into the riser for mounting stabilizers. So you could take your side rod, you could mount a bracket on the front and run a side rod that way, but some archers like to mount that side rod off the back of the bow. It just gets that rod into a different position, and a lot of carbon bows didn't have that connection. Well, PSE added one here on the string stop. You can see it right there. You've got a bushing, so you can put your connection point on there and run your side rod off. It just gets that weight lower. Of course, you do have the front bushing as always for that stabilizer. Now, PSE continuing something they've had on their bows for the last couple years is this device right here. This is the Precision Bus Tuning System. So this, on a lot of bows with this type of device, you're gonna see that this harness up front here is one single string, and then it connects to a cable here. But with PSE, this is actually a split yoke. They cross over one another to get into that tight stance here against the cams, but this is a split yoke. So what you can do is you can do some of your yoke tuning to try and deal with left-right paper tears. You can use the precision bus tuning system for that. All right, so this weight challenge that John Dudley hit me with. So I will be honest that normally when I set up a bow, I like a long front rod and a side rod. On my current hunting bow, I have a 15-inch front rod, 10-inch side rod. So John Dudley said, hey, this is a carbon bow. This is meant to be hunted with in a light fashion. He hunted with this bow this year up at high elevation, above 11,000 feet for several weeks, where weight is a consideration. You don't want to lug around a big heavy bow. So he said that I could set this bow up and keep the total weight under 5 pounds. I couldn't believe that when he was first saying it. It was before I had the bow in my hands, but I said, okay, I'll try setting it up like that. So when the bow came in, I got a Trophy Ridge 5-pin sight here. This isn't a light sight, but it's not a heavy sight. This is probably average weight for a bow sight. And I got a 6-inch Shrewd RevX stabilizer with 1 ounce up front. Kept it nice and simple, kept it light. The total weight of this bow set up as is with the QAD drop away is 4.85 pounds. It is under 5 pounds. So I was amazed that I was able to get that weight. Well, how's it shoot? I wasn't sure about how it was going to shoot. And this thing is just a dream to shoot. I don't feel all the issues that I was expecting to with that light weight. It draws nice, it holds nice. You know, it still has that evolved cam-like draw cycle where, you know, you get over the hump and come back into a nice valley. It's, even though they made this cam a little bit more aggressive, you can see right there, it's definitely a little more aggressive than the Evolve. It's not one of those aggressive cam that you feel uncomfortable at full draw because it wants to pull your shoulder forward. I have this set at 90% let off, and this is one of those bows where you come to full draw and it feels like you have to push to get that string to go forward. It's super comfortable at full draw. And then I shot it out to 50 yards and the accuracy was just on point. I was able to stack groups in at 50 yards. It just performed way better than I was expecting it to. Don't feel that hand shock. I will tell you, you do feel some, I'll say, reaction from the bow when you release the string. You definitely can feel something in your hand, but it's not a harsh shock that goes all the way up your arm. It's just kind of like a dull thump. You know the bow went off. I would not consider that to be the normal vibration. When you shoot a bow that's got a lot of vibration, you know it. This is not that bow, so that dead frequency carbon really killed it. One of the other issues that we hear from carbon is that they're loud bows because they're so light. But again, dead frequency carbon, this bow is super quiet. It's just a little blip. If you're not shooting the bow and you stand back from it, it's just amazing how quiet this bow is. So my impression of the PSE Levitate is that they have taken now the high-end carbon bow to a new level. We haven't seen anything like this, I don't believe, ever with carbon bows. So it is an incredible shooting bow. The PSE Levitate. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at LancasterArchery.com.